arrogant, throwing fits, ripping shit, tearing it, imperative. Then I'm killing this mic no matter where I live. These derelict rappers acting the fool, this embarrassing is flagrant. That's the nature of this entertainment, and we can't even change it. Guilty before arraignment, now the system tainted. But when we speak, they all laugh at us. And y'all wonder why I'm lacking trust. Trying to fight a giant with attorneys that can back them up. That's church versus science, both sides start acting up. I'm late on my assignment, hopping up a mile high, climbing, obviously never silent. New alignment, I'm defined, can I describe it? Used to describe it as the young graffiti artist. Before the beard, I always got carded. At every bar, even though my bar's been the hardest. The scars on my face, and I ain't always been the smartest. But I'll show you where my heart is. I said I'll show you where my heart is. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. Even if the beat stops, my soul will not leave. If I never stood tall, nobody will ever see. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. Even if the beat stops, my soul will not leave. If I never stood tall, nobody will ever see. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. I can show you where my...
The type of guy that would ride with the breeze. I'm higher than most people. I'm cold and icicle freeze. I'm liking to Mike Tyson. I'm a bison, a beast. I'm hot like Jamaica, like right by the beach. My pops is from a spot where they're fighting for peace. 8 years old out there watching people fight in the streets. All these sirens only make the violence increase. Yeah, we're still not loving police. It's that bright young American, nice, dumb, arrogant, tight on a mic, but he might need a therapist. Heart full of kerosene, head full of fairy tales. Said that you're my homie, you don't know me, but I know you very well. Roll back on some West Coast shit. This whole track is wetter than your dress code kiss. About to hit the track, running on some retro fit. I guess so lit, I guess so bitch, now let's go.
I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. Even if the beat stops, my soul will not leave. If I never stood tall, nobody will...
It's Tuesday. It's Tuesday. Little sports nonsense and whiskey hanging with the fellas. Hope everybody's ready. We got some fun stuff this evening. Hanging with the fellas. Cheers, my boys. Pinky, Robert. How you doing this evening?
Fantastic. It is a wonderful Tuesday.
Look at this guy wearing his Spartan gear tonight.
Hey, they still got in.
They're in.
They play Mississippi.
I got
him winning. Yeah.
I got him winning the first round. We'll talk. We'll be discussing this. Yeah. Pinky, how you doing this evening, my guy?
I'm doing good, buddy. I'm almost 85% of this cold. I'm getting there. It's been a rough one.
Dude, we're starting to lose you. You're starting to freeze and break up already. Oh, that might be the end of Pinky right there. Right as we say it, he's gone.
Oh, he's gone.
The end. It's nice while it lasted, my guy. Cheers.
R.I.P. Anyway, so Cam, how are you doing?
Well, I'm good. We got we'll always start it off with, whatever nonsense we decide to throw out there to begin with, and sometimes it's none and we just move right into stuff, and other times there's stuff, so we'll see. But we got some NFL to discuss because there were some moves made.
Yes.
That impact some things that we need to go over. And then obviously we got some tourney to talk about. The brackets are set. There is first 4 game on right now. I am watching it. It is above me on the TV. Games start Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We'll take a little break. Then we'll do it all over again. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Then the final 4. And things just get wonderful and wild and miraculously beautiful. So we'll discuss our bracket. We're going to fill one out as a podcast, and I'm sure that's going to get contentious at times, but we will see how that goes. Should be a lot of fun, and we'll do that after we discuss some football. And then, if you got anything else you want to hear from us about, jump in. We'll see if we can discuss it or talk about it or throw it up and at least give a quick thought. Otherwise, gentlemen, what do you got?
A couple big things today. Big rumor mill based on some reports that Aaron Taylor Johnson is going to be the new James Bond.
Help me out. Who's that?
He was in Kick-Ass.
He was in Bullet Train.
And he was Quicksilver in Avengers Age of Ultron. He was Wanda's brother.
He was Wanda's brother. That's who would be the new Bond?
Yes.
Interesting.
All he has to do is sign reportedly. So
He's grown up some, and he's I think he could play the part. I can see it.
I can see that. Yeah. Actually, I can see that.
Especially like
Interesting.
he was kind of suave in Bullet Train, so I think he could pull it off.
absolutely.
Wait, was he one of the twins?
Yeah, he was the white one.
Okay, yeah, dude, definitely Bond material. I liked his role in that movie a lot.
Not to be like that, but yeah.
Good. All right.
So looking forward to see if that's actually true, if that really does come about. But that was the big rumor mill. And today, officially as a Star Wars fan, we got the first look at the Acolyte.
Yeah, we did.
That's all I'm gonna watch.
Hello.
That's all I'm gonna watch. I'm gonna just simply wait until June 4th and be happy. I'm very excited. This is gonna be a whole new story, nothing to do with the Skywalker situation. So very excited for where this is going to take us for Star Wars future.
I mean, this is, if I remember correctly, isn't this supposed to be basically Jedi at their peak?
Yes, 100 years before the Phantom Menace.
Yeah, before
the Sith are extinct, but they are coming back. Yes, so and as
it had to come from somewhere, and Palpatine sure didn't teach himself. So
if you can't see my somewhat small collection, I'm a big Sith sympathizer. So I'm very excited. It's gonna be great.
He's big into the Empire and evil. Robert's got the evil.
Excuse me. Started Bad Batch today, so got through a couple episodes of that.
Like from the beginning?
Yeah, I haven't watched any of them.
One? Oh
yeah.
Man, okay.
Season 1, episode 1. So we'll start moving through that here over the next couple of days.
Understood.
There was also an announcement that roughly a month from now, if I remember the dates correctly, Mr. Snyder comes out with his part diff to his sci-fi
April 19th.
epic. So we'll get some more Moon from Snyder. A little Rebel.
It can't be
action.
worse than the first one.
Look, here's the deal. The first one, again, Zack Snyder, I wish he would just realize it. He has phenomenal ideas, like big picture, overarching thoughts and ideas. He can tell a great visual picture. Like, I don't know if any of his movies are what you would say are bad looking, right? Like, they're all like eye appealing, visual effect, done correctly, I think, extravaganzas.
Right.
But the dude needs to learn that he can't write a story. He may be able to think of a great idea for a story, but fleshing the actual story itself out when it comes to the arc itself and then the actual language of which is used to talk between the characters should all be cleaned up. The dialogue is not appealing to the ears usually when it comes to really hooking you in with what you're seeing. So if he could find somebody to partner with that could be that sounding board and that writer for him, I mean, he could, in my personal opinion, become one of the greatest directors we've ever seen. Just because of the way he's able to visually put things on film. But man, his story arcs and dialogue are hard. They're hard. So I'll watch it. The first one is like, to me, these are going to go down right now as like, man, I just drew a blank. They're the greatest sci-fi movies ever created. They're about war and bugs and propaganda. Why am I drawing a blank?
Starship Troopers.
Thank you. Starship Troopers. Greatest sci-fi film ever created. So this could very well go down in that category of not great at first and gets one hell of a cult following on the back end.
Starship Troopers, the first one, man, is like the actors are good.
The first one
like
is just
it's campy, it's fun.
yeah.
And And I know you guys aren't big into gaming. Right now, there's a game out called Helldivers 2, and it's basically Starship Troopers.
Oh,
And
that's
it
brilliant.
is a blast.
Good.
It is
I like
so
it.
much fun. And I highly encourage you both to just go through the Twitter page because it is very comical and they take it very seriously. It very much is a Starship Troopers game, and it's a blast. So yeah,
Nice.
it's,
So yeah,
it's wonderful.
Rebel Moon might fall into that category of wonderfulness. Take that for what it's worth and break that down however you deem necessary for yourself. Robert, I do have a question for you.
Yeah.
And Pinky, maybe you can chime in on this too, because I don't know enough. I just know what I know and know I don't know. But I heard, and I meant to bring this up last week, but the director for the new X-Men 97 was let go right before it's releasing. What any effects there we should be concerned about? I didn't really hear anything about why, other than just a mutual parting of the ways. Did I miss something? What's going on there?
Nothing has really been talked about yet. They didn't renew it for a season 2, so the outlook on this is very grim. So I'm not sure of where this is going to go. With
Do
a
we?
lot.
Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
With a lot of what happened with the strike, there's a lot of restructure that happened in Marvel. Gave them a lot of time to bring some things together and maybe change the vision a little bit. Especially with Deadpool and Wolverine rolling out. I mean, you had the Marvels happen. I mean, we can talk about it. It's been out now for a little bit.
That was actually going to be my question for you is, does this have anything to do with Deadpool and Wolverine and the fact that the 97 was really kind of a project before Disney acquired Fox and then had the rights to that and able to bring that truly into the universe? Do you think X-Men 97 was not exactly where they were thinking the X-Men were going to go, and so thus not wanting to really portray the characters that way again?
Correct. I think the benefit they're going to gain from this are two things. Number one, a reunion with the original 90s series, so you're going to get that exposure to what the X-Men truly were. Two, that also sets it up perfectly based off of the set photos, very limited screen time though, of Hugh Jackman's Wolverine when his iconic blue and yellow suit. So I think that is a perfect segue to set up this Wolverine. Where that goes from here, I'm not entirely sure. Again,
Yeah, I'm interested to see how they do this because there's no way Jackman's going to be the Wolverine going forward, right? This feels like a one-off for him.
We'll have to see.
I truly hope they bring in somebody more along the lines of a Daniel Radcliffe in the sense that fits the character's, physique, if you will, a lot closer to the actual comics. And it would be cool to see them start doing the characters a little bit more justice that way.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing where I'm wondering where it's going to go from here because again, they brought back Kelsey Grammer, so it's hard to see where they're going.
Beast didn't look bad. Beast reminded me, the Kelsey Grammer Beast when he was Beast reminded me of Beast from especially X-Men 97. But like Rogue was bad, right? Like Rogue was not anything looking like Rogue or powers like Rogue. Jubilee or the person you thought might have been Jubilee, that looked pathetic. Scott Summers has never been portrayed very well. Jean Grey, so. I think Professor X, come on. Patrick Stewart did Professor X about as good as you can do that part, I think.
Mm-hmm. James McAvoy, give credit to James McAvoy did a great job.
I agree. He did a great as Xavier too. But, as far as a whole picture, Storm, I don't hate Halle Berry, but I'm not a fan of what she did with the character.
And there's a lot to be said with her, especially with the Wakanda storyline, because she eventually does marry T'Challa, which
Yep.
How they are going to tell that if they're introducing the X-Men could be a future storyline, given that, you know, T'Challa's son does exist. So there's a lot to play with that, but again, that's really a lot of speculation. And we'll see.
Just don't think that this Deadpool movie, if it does well, like we hope it is also the reset, because it's like resetting for the future. I think there'll be another Hugh Jackman Wolverine Deadpool movie, but it'll be not as important. It'll be a buddy comedy to the side. Like, it won't be such a big chess piece in the overall story.
Well, I mean, that'd be awesome. I hope you're right, because that would be super cool. And Robert brought up Marvel, the Marvels, and at the end of that movie, obviously, there was a mutant that was introduced, and we got to see, you know, the first glimpse of kind of where it looks like, Marvel's going to take that character. But they've also introduced the multiverse on many different levels from many different sides. So we know Deadpool, Wolverine, and what was at the end of the Marvels, and where the 616, I mean, that's pretty much what they've been running with, right? The 616 timeline.
616.
Those could all three be separate universes timelines, right? So while we might be seeing mutants in a different universe, it may not be the 616 universe. So how they introduce it, how the X-Men come into the fold, the Final Four. I am Turney Jones and guys. The Fantastic Four are going to be coming out here soon. What universe do they end up in? Where do they fall into this picture? So there's a lot of things kind of up in the air with Marvel right now and how they move forward. And it's going to be interesting to see how they try to tie all this together, especially with the young Marvels that they've introduced and almost left off to the wayside. And what the hell happened at the end of the Eternals that hasn't even been discussed or spoken of? So where are they just going to decide maybe we let the vine branch out too much, and we're just going to allow some of those things to never come into the fold, even though we introduced it, and pull back a little bit?
Eternals got put on the back burner.
Right? Or are they going to try to still tie everything in within this phase? What is it, 5 and 6 coming up? So
yeah.
We'll see. It'll be interesting.
Too much canon for the moment. They've got to rein it back in.
I was talking about that with Pinky earlier today. Like they've set up so many different inklings and they haven't done anything with it. Where like you go back to the Infinity Saga, every single movie had an inkling that mattered in the next movie or coming movie.
Well, it's not just that. It really felt like they were planning on trying to set this up with Hulk and a world breaker, Scar kind of storyline tied in with some other stuff possibly. And they're so foolish the way they decided to be doing the CGI for Hulk and She-Hulk that they're blowing their budget every time. And to me, that's absolutely ridiculous. You should be able to do it in such a way that you can do full movies and series with the Hulk, and it should be no more expensive than any of the other movies you're doing. Be smarter, you know, like with how you're going to do the effects and still make it believable. There is enough great makeup artists that you could do a suit if you need to. Like, figure this out, guys. Like, so we'll see.
Which is why this Academy Award for visual effects this year mattered so much, was because it went to Godzilla -1, because it deserved it in every right for how it was made, on the budget it had compared to the creator, Guardians of the Galaxy, Mission Impossible. I mean, this movie rocked it. And in my opinion, if you're going to make a movie like that on a budget like that, they should be able to introduce something like that where you get a Hulk movie, where if you put $1 billion into it, you're going to get something amazing. But what we've been getting for the $1 billion, like Secret Invasion, was absolute trash.
I don't think it was bad. I think compared to some of the other stuff they had put out, it wasn't maybe at such a level that people were expecting it should be, given what they had done with some other of their entities.
Absolutely.
But
The budget
I
is
also don't
absolutely
quite.
ridiculous.
I feel like it was called Secret Invasion, but I feel like that wasn't quite Secret Invasion. Like I feel like they did the same thing with the Mandalorian, and then afterwards kind of came out and said, we know it's not the Mandalorian. They took something. We'll show you the real Mandalorian later, which ended up being Shang-Chi and his father, and so on and so forth. So do they try to realize, we didn't do that very good, but we could twist this and fix it kind of in our own storytelling later on, or do we just let it ride and try to move forward? So I think they have that question a lot with a lot of different things right now.
Yep. But we'll see. Again, the big thing this year is that the Deadpool Wolverine movie is the only Marvel movie we're getting this year.
Yeah, which is why, like you said, with the writers and stuff, they're kind of reining things back in, and
they're
reevaluating,
going back to the drawing board.
You know, a tighter circle, and realizing, kind of like I said, letting that vine grow a little too wild and not necessarily just on the lattice that you wanted to, can maybe be an issue. You tried too many things, you realize it didn't work, bring it back together and refocus. So hopefully that's what they do.
I'm gonna give one shout out. I'm gonna switch gears real quick so we can move forward. Talking about Marvel is just depressing.
Oh man.
I do want to put a pub out for The Gentleman on Netflix. Watch that with the wife. We really enjoyed it. And she liked it, and at one point I had to stop it so I could I went and played poker Saturday night. She wanted to keep watching it. That's how good she liked it. So The Gentleman on Netflix, it's very similar to kind of a similar type of story to the movie. Very enjoyable though.
Cool.
Pinky approved.
Word, yo.
And Shogun, again, excellent. Episode 5's out. So, once you can get into that, well, I am so excited to talk about that with you, Pinky. So.
Oh, as soon as it's done, buddy, I will binge it.
I know.
I've just gotten into it. I will not do the weekly watch. I just won't do it.
They do an 8 or 10?
8.
10.
10.
Is it 10? I thought it was 8.
No, it should be 10. I mean, double check.
Double check. I've been catching up on Wheel of Time as well.
You have 10 episodes.
10, good. I still got to watch that. Still got to watch Loki. Still got to watch Lord of the Rings. I think those are the only big ones I still got to watch.
Like the Rings of Power?
Yeah.
That's right. We talked about that already.
Do that one last. You'll be fine.
Yeah,
No.
you guys keep saying that. That's fine.
I don't. I loved it personally. He's saying that because he was expecting something different, but it's a Tolkien TV show because they start crying over trees and stuff, just like they do in the book, and it is excellent.
Yeah, it's not.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Watch at your own peril.
I know, Caleb.
It's probably gonna be excellent, Pinky.
Caleb, I know.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Yeah.
You read the books. I know what you know.
Dude, from the age of let's call it 19 to the age of 26, anytime I flew, my carry-on backpack always had 2 things. My iPod, my old school brick iPod, because it had Jay-Z's album Reasonable Doubt, and my Lord of the Rings trilogy book all in one book. And those are the only 2 things that I had to have when I went flying. And when I was walking around the airports, I had Reasonable Doubt on repeat, and I didn't want anybody talking to me. And when I was on the plane, I read my book.
There you go.
Hey, I've read the book. I still got it. I do enjoy Lord of the Rings. I enjoy The Hobbit.
My collection's out there.
I just found that the movie or the TV show just wasn't up to par.
We'll see what happens eventually. We'll see what happens.
Definitely do Loki. Get that out of the way.
Well, duh.
Get that one out of the way.
That'll get watched. But I mean, the beauty is it is only Deadpool coming out this year. So I got some time before that hits where we can make sure that that's taken care of before.
I know
comes out.
And Dune.
after
Yeah, but
middle of June, you'll have about a month. You'll have about a month and a half, 2 months to really catch up because most sports are done by then. So
yeah,
you'll have time.
Exactly. So yeah, and Dune will probably end up getting watched straight to home video kind of thing.
Oh man, it's so good in the theater though.
I don't know.
Missing
if we're about
out.
to see it in the theaters. We'll see. We may still. I don't know. I'm not holding my breath. We'll see.
It's worth it, my friend.
You're never gonna convince me that a movie is worth seeing in theaters over just my nice big screen in the basement, relaxing on my couch. Like, I'm good with that. Like, that doesn't bother me at all.
Well, and you do have the old people set up where it's like right in your face.
It's 12 feet back. It's good. It's right there on purpose because it's supposed to be the whole enclosed movie experience feel. It was bad when we first set it up. You're right. When we first set that up, it was right there. Definitely needed to come back. But that's why the pool table and everything got shifted to the other side of the basement. So, it could still maybe move back a little bit, but I don't mind where it's at now. It's pretty solid.
All right, let's talk some sports.
Lead the way.
Baseball starts in like 10 days.
Baseball's coming up. I mean, I think the storyline is it's the Dodgers versus everybody else, right? Can anybody else take them out? Well, again, injuries. Hopefully injuries don't happen.
Is Ohtani going to be able to play the whole season as a DH? Does he see the field at all? Is Yamamoto amazing as a pitcher? Glasnow, they signed so much. It's crazy. Do the Braves go off still? Do the Yankees be anything? Red Sox, the Orioles, can they repeat what they tried to do last year with all their young talent? There's some good storylines right now.
Can the Rockies come in out of nowhere? No, I'm just kidding.
No, we don't talk about the Rockies, Robert.
The Redskins are projected to be, or not the Redskins, the Red Sox are projected to be really bad.
Yeah, they are. But that's usually the season where all of a sudden they come out of nowhere and get in the playoffs and do some damage, which is crazy. Astros are still going to be really good. Rangers should be really good this year.
Right.
So it'll be interesting. Robert, to clarify, you can talk about the Rockies as long as it's to tell the fans that are attending and buying tickets that they're foolish. And if you want to disgrace the Monforts, then it's perfectly okay to mention the Rockies.
Yeah, if you buy Rockies tickets and you root for the other team, I am perfectly happy with that. So, that's the way. If you go to a Rockies game, you have to root for the other team, and that's cool. I am going to go to a Rockies game against the Braves this year. I'm going to make that happen.
That's fine. But you're going to be wearing Braves gear. So you're not going to a Rockies game. You're going to a Braves game at Rockies at Coors Field. There's a difference.
So I was actually talking
Semantics matter.
I did see something super cool. A buddy of mine, we were playing poker at his place, and he's got he made it. It's out of wood. He carved it all. It's a map of the United States. And it's got metal pins with all the baseball logos where all the baseball stadiums are. And then he's got pins that go on him if he's been to that stadium.
Cool.
That's cool.
Super, super cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
His was Houston Astros. So he had like Houston Astros and the colors. And then like the Great Lakes were in like a bright blue. And it was gorgeous. I was like, hey, man, can I get a football one like that? And I had to talk about it. There's some price involved there, but super cool. And I was just like, man, I had thought of like, wow, that's a lot of baseball stadiums to go to. A lot.
Well, yeah, because there's new ones coming into play too. So if you were able to see some of the older ones and now you're moving into some of these newer ones that have been built over the last, 15, 20 years and you're catching up there still too. I mean, you could be going back around to see the same team because some of these teams have built new stadiums. So
right.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
That's like with Andy and I, who are trying to do all of the football stadiums. We know Buffalo's got a new one coming. So do we go to see the old Buffalo Orchard Park one before it goes down?
Yeah. Because what's going to happen 9 times out of 10, and I hope they don't do it, but 9 times out of 10, when a team upgrades, they also usually try to for lack of a better way of putting it, devalue the craziness of the fandom.
Right.
And will the new stadium allow or have the same opportunity for those tailgate experiences that Orchard Park has now that the Bills fans have created? I don't know. That's kind of taking a risk, in my opinion, where what the true experience of going there for you, Pinky, is experiencing that pregame with the Bills Mafia. And then going and seeing the game and checking it off your list. So I personally would advise you and Andy as your counsel that you guys need to go ahead and make sure you hit up Orchard Park.
Fair.
He's got to live vicariously through you, Pinky, somehow. So you got to make it happen.
I feel that.
Who knows? Depending on when they go, that might be the first one I get to attend.
I know. We still talking about a Nebraska game at some point.
Oh, dude, we're definitely doing a Nebraska game at some point. That is it. Next couple of years. Maybe I really want to be at the CU game this year. I just don't think it's going to happen.
I'm excited to go to my first Nuggets game ever. Like my first basketball game ever.
Yeah, that's wild that you haven't done that. So we got a lot of catching up for you to do, apparently.
I've also never been to a professional hockey game.
Those are fun.
Ooh.
Hockey at any level, college hockey. I've been to
college hockey games. I've been to college hockey games.
DC, Air Force, DU. Been to a bunch of those. They're fun. Avs are a lot of fun. Hockey live is completely different. There's no comparison. Hockey live to hockey on TV is the one sport where they are not the same. I can watch golf on TV and it's actually more enjoyable than being in person, because in person you stand in one location and watch one specific shot from every player all day. You don't watch the whole round unless you're going to walk with that player. And if you walk with that player, it's really hard to see all the shots because there are galleries already set up at the best locations. So the likelihood of you being able to get to a spot to see the best shots is slim to none. Basketball is fun on TV and in person. Everything in person is better, so don't get me wrong, Robert, but it's fun on TV and in person. Football fun. Hockey is just so different that we need to plan a Binky. Look into the guys' night out stuff for the Avs, and let's see if we can go to an Avs game. That'd be fun, man.
Next
season?
So
much fun. Yeah, obviously next season. We'll have to look into it next season. Duh.
There's only like a couple games left this year.
I know. But
yeah,
let's do that next season. Let's go to one of those, because I've only been to one NHL game actually.
Live hockey, like you can hear the sticks and the puck and the glass.
Everything.
Like it's just it's a different world, and I love football, and I love the experience, and I feel like when you go to a really big game for football, a playoff game or maybe a rivalry game, the energy is there. Every play, like there's fans screaming and yelling at every play, and it's just like so intense, which is great.
It can seem slow on TV because there's no scoring happening. When you're in person, you're like, oh my God, everything is amazing.
No, and that's why I'm excited. So it's gonna be a great time. Cody,
you must not know how much Avs tickets for playoff tickets go, bro.
Well, wait, Cody, are you financing the trip? Because if that's the case, if it's sponsored, we'll all go.
Well, I should say, Avs playoff tickets are somewhat affordable. Stanley Cup tickets are not affordable.
Oh, Cody, I don't know what kind of budget you got there, Bala, but one affording the ticket to an Avs playoff game now these days is ridiculous. Two, you have to be able to find the tickets to even purchase them. Now, that is something that I have the ability to get my hands on. So when we're ready,
so when we make it big, is what you're saying?
I'm not going to anything this year, most likely, but maybe I will. Maybe I'll reach out to my dude and see what he's up to. See if he wants to go, but we'll see what happens. Cody, the day you get flown out by us is the day this is our full-time job. And then you are definitely going to get flown out to go to some games with us, because we're going to have, credentials and stuff that will have to be at the games to be able to know what's going on. So we'll make sure you get to tag along at times, my guy.
Love it.
Oh, let me.
Pinky's
Cody's
over
going to
here
give you
dying.
tips where to sit. Personally, 2 rows above the glass.
Yeah.
That's my
Alright.
personal opinion. The best, the absolute best, 2 rows above the glass. The other place I really like, actually, and it seems kind of crazy, but sitting in those upper decks behind the goals, you get to see everything develop and how the players move around and skate and how they're switching out from bench to ice and stuff. So it's pretty cool because you get the depth. When you sit sidelines at a lot of sports, at least me personally, I like doing end zones, baselines. I like the end courts because then you get the depth and you get to see everything. When you do sidelines, and I see Cody says center ice, I mean, I don't hate that idea by any means, but I would definitely recommend sitting up a little higher for that just because then you can get more of that depth, for your first game. But then again, there's an argument to be made to, if you're going to go to your first game, sit right on the glass and bang away and feel the action, literally feel it. So, there's arguments for both.
Yeah, buddy.
McKinnon
Either
doing
way,
work. McKinnon doing
I'm
work.
I'm looking forward to it.
No, not McKinnon. The Moose, baby.
Oh,
Nico.
my bad. Yeah, my bad. I don't know why I just read that as McKinnon. I saw an M. Apologies.
It's okay. The Moose is loose, baby.
Ooh, Cody, I like that. And then sit behind the bench once I get familiar. That's a good idea. It's pretty cool.
My wife's first game was right behind the glass, right behind the goalie, and she was in heaven when dudes got smashed into the boards, and she was just like, "Oh my god, this is amazing!" I was like, "I know, right?" So, which is fun because now if an Avs game's on that we can watch, she doesn't mind watching it. So
I've sat courtside when I was really young. I sat courtside when I was a young man. I would like to sit courtside one more time in my lifetime, just to have that one more perspective of it. Because while I do like sitting up a little higher and being able to really see the flow of the game, man, sitting courtside and being able to hear them yap at each other and really feel it and everything, it is a different experience for sure.
I'd like to get to that point where I can afford those kind of tickets, but I'm normally up top.
Quick, you ready for a quick Caleb story, Pinky? You've never heard this one, so I'll give you a quick Caleb story. Very first time I ever got to sit courtside, it was row 2 behind the basket, and I was 11-ish years old, and my dad had taken my brother and I to a Nuggets game. We were sitting way upper deck, old school McNichols Arena.
Oh, McNichols.
Yeah. And my dad gave my brother and I some money to go get like hot dogs or candy or whatever it was, right? Soda. And so we went from the top deck down to the main concourse level and walked around a little bit. Back in the day when you could let your kids do that before they were adults. And as we're walking around, this dude and his girlfriend, wife, fiance, I don't know, but his significant other approached us, and they're like, "Hey, can we give you our tickets?" And I was always very aware of when it was just my brother and I, who's a year younger than me, that we didn't really talk to strangers. Like, we were friendly, but you always kind of kept moving. And you never took anything from them. Like that was always, back in the day when I was a kid, it was, they're going to offer you candy and they're going to ask you to get in a van and you don't do it. And that's, that was the big scare you told the kids. So, unless my parents were around, I didn't talk to strangers. So we said, thank you, but no, thank you. We have tickets. My dad's, waiting for us. Sounded like a ruse because he goes, next thing, no, you don't have these tickets. These are courtside. And my brother and I looked at him and laughed and said, yeah, nobody gives those away. This guy doesn't realize he's talking to like 2, tiny children encyclopedia of sports nerding out things, right? Like, that was my brother and I. So He's like, no, seriously. And this dude was brilliant. And I wish there was a way I could figure out who it was and thank him, because had he not done this, my brother and I literally would have missed out on this experience. He said, just wait one moment. I'll be right back. Let me go get the usher so he can show you the seats. And he went and got one of the yellow jackets, and we watched him talk to the guy for a second. And then the yellow jacket came over and said, young men, would you like to accompany me to your new seats? And we said, no, our dad's waiting for us. He said, I will walk with you to your dad and let him know what the situation is. And then if it's okay with him, I'll bring you back down. And the adult came back over and said, I hope you guys have a great night. I can't think of two better kids to give them to, something along those lines. Thank you to the usher. And they walked off. Walked up to my dad. We're still not believing any of this. We're like, whatever, this is just weird. Thinking the usher is now escorting two kids back to their parents is really what we thought was happening. Nah, man. He walked back to my dad, told my dad what was going on. It just so happened we were sitting upper deck baseline, and these seats were second row baseline. So my dad was literally able to watch us while the usher then kept an eye on us for the rest of the game. We got these tickets at halftime. So we got to watch the whole second half from right under the basket, directly behind the basket, second row. Jalen Rose at one point jumped on top of us to save a ball going out of bounds. And so there's photographs somewhere, I'm sure, of like 6 adults, like literally coffin holding Jalen Rose above these 2 little kids who are just ducking for their lives at this giant man flying over them, Superman style. And then the other time I got to sit kind of in the corner baseline area, like 2 or 3 rows back kind of thing, for a buddy's birthday present. And I went with him, and we got to hang out on the court afterwards. And so, yeah, 2 different experiences, you know, being a little kid and seeing that, and everything is just, and then being a young man and seeing it and knowing the game like I did at that time and stuff was really cool. So it'd be nice to get that perspective one more time in my lifetime.
I would have to say probably I think I've been 50-yard line, 17 rows up at Broncos Stadium once.
Yeah, I've gotten that experience. I know the right people apparently at times, because a buddy of ours, Zach, his dad had season tickets, and they were like, I want to say they were like 30 rows up on like the 35 or 40. So right in that area. And I got to go to a couple games with those tickets as well. So I've seen some
I've recently watched an Avs game in a suite, and then watched the Broncos opener this season in a suite. That's a super cool experience.
I haven't done suite level for Broncos yet. I have done it for Nugs plenty of times, and that's I actually don't think those are great seats in the Pepsi Center or whatever the hell it's called now.
They were nice for hockey.
I've done a suite at Coors Field.
I've done that as well, actually.
I've only done like super far back in Coors Field, and I only go to night games too. I won't do the 90 degrees out in the sun, sweat your balls.
Why?
Off.
You get third baseline and you can do afternoon games.
Yeah, that's not me. That's just not me, bro.
Third baseline afternoon games is sun. I mean, is shade.
It's still hot as hell.
Just so you're aware. A little warmer, but you know, you get some cold adult beverages. Cheers, everybody, and you enjoy yourselves.
I would say probably the best seats I've had at a sporting event that I felt like were like really good seats was at the Super Bowl. So,
well, yeah, I'm sure you had. Yeah, for me. And completely biased, so don't you know, it is what it is. But I've had some really good seats in Memorial Stadium for Nebraska games, and sitting dead center behind the north end zone, literally watching the game basically through the goalposts. That's been. I've had some other really good ones, but that's one that really sticks out because. Especially football, being able to be directly behind as the plays develop and being able to see gaps open or how wide or stacked something is, and then everything moving and coming at you and going. It's awesome.
So, Robert, I will tell you, these are not amazing seats, but you will get to see Wemby and Joker. So,
well, and here's the deal. There's actually the Pepsi Center is one of the better arenas or stadiums. I don't know why I'm throwing air quotes out there. One of the better venues to watch sports, because I've sat everywhere over the Pepsi Center. And even upper deck, while it's up there, there's still not bad seats. You really can see all the action. Unless you're completely blind, you can still tell who's who. So, while you get up there a little bit, there's still not really a terrible seat in that particular venue. So that's what's really good about it.
And I've been to the Pepsi Center once, and it was to see Roger Waters do the wall. So that was the only time I've been.
To see what? Do what?
Roger Waters, Pink Floyd. The Wall? Pink
I know
Floyd's
who
The
Pink
Wall.
Floyd is. I apologize. And
So the
I
album's
know
The Wall.
I can think of one person right now who's a buddy of mine from high school who would just be so disappointed in me for that.
I hope so.
And he has every
I'm
right
pretty
to.
sure Pinky's disappointed in you right now.
That's fine. I know who Pink Floyd is. Big Pink Floyd fan. I am terrible with names. Like, it just is what it is, and I've come to terms with that. So that's why I asked you the actor earlier.
Fair enough. I'll give that one to you.
Quicksilver. Oh, wait, is it one of the twins in Bullet Train? Like, still trying to figure out which dude it is still, even though I know who Quicksilver is? Like, I'm just terrible with names. So if you ever meet me and we start hanging out a little bit and I should know who you are and I'm still calling you buddy or dude, I don't know your name, but that doesn't mean I'm not a big fan of yours, okay? I'm just really bad. I thought
how it is.
His name was literally, I had no idea his last name was Pinkerton for probably the first year we knew each other. And we became buddies pretty quick. I would say we became pretty good buddies pretty quick. So that's just me being.
But everybody just calls me Pinky. That's just what they call me.
That's all I ever heard. And I'm not a guy who messages my friends at work through the message system, because I'm always scared I'm going to end up having a conversation that will get me fired. So those conversations get strictly had through like my phone or after we get off work. Well, he's Pinky in my phone. So, never knew. And then one day I heard somebody say his full name. And as soon as I heard it, I go, well, son of a bitch, what do you know?
It makes sense.
And I'm not usually one to be like, hey, where'd you get that nickname? Because I made the mistake once, and it was not a fun story. And they didn't actually want to talk about it. And I literally looked at them and go, why would you even allow that nickname to stick around then? But learn my lesson. Don't ask. Don't ask. I just don't. I had, for the longest time, and still a couple buddies to this day, I'm known as Murder. That is my nickname. And through my early 20s, going to the clubs, people ran around and just shouted murder. And it never was good. Never ended well for me. For me personally, never ended well. Trying to explain that to a bunch of people or ladies at that time, didn't matter how I tried to explain the story never ended well for me. So did everything I could to remove myself from that nickname. And it's taken some time.
My name, I mean, sometimes it just happens. You just gotta.
It does.
A new identity.
It does.
Andy's nickname in high school was Doggy Style. So just bad nicknames all around for you guys.
Wish I knew Andy in high school, because that would have been a lot of fun to just hear a bunch of people shouting, "Murder! Doggy Style! Doggy Style! Murder!"
That's hilarious.
Yeah, I don't know the story behind. I forgot the story behind Doggy Style. I'll have to ask him again.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. All right, moving along. We veered a little bit there, people.
So
we did, and it happened.
I have one thing. Well, we have probably just a few NFL topics real quick before we start the bracket.
Yeah, bring us back around a little bit here. What do you got for us, my guy? There's
well,
one big topic that we all know I want to discuss.
I want to talk poetic about one of my favorite players, Aaron Donald, who we knew the end was close. They're probably wasn't a whole lot left for him to play for. Although I think the Rams still probably pretty good this year. So it kind of sucks.
I think they could have been good enough to be an honest to God dark horse Super Bowl contender. I could see a path for them to have won a Super Bowl next year. Like honestly, with him still on the team. Now I might give it like 1,000 to 1 odds. You know, it might be really long odds, but I could still create a path in my mind where it wouldn't be hard to convince myself that it was a possibility.
If they are, and they are, I think they are a playoff team. As a playoff team, anybody has a chance. Once you get,
I don't know if they are. I don't know if they are anymore with his retirement. To be perfectly honest with you.
Well, that they're gonna have to figure out a way to replace him, which is not easy. It's not easy.
Look, you said you're gonna wax poetic real quick, and I will give you that opportunity. And I apologize for interrupting you, but you know you're coughing, so it's only right I fill some dead air for us. I've said this to you before. We've had this conversation in the past. I know you told me I'm a little bit crazy, but not all the way crazy on this one. I think he has a legit argument to be mentioned as the greatest defensive player to ever play the game. And I personally, because I didn't get to watch them old enough to truly remember them the way I would like to, Taylor and Reggie White. And I'm a sports historian. I go back. I'll watch all the videos. I will do my research. I will do everything I can. They both played from the edge.
No.
Yes.
Well,
they absolutely did.
Well, Lawrence Taylor played as a rush linebacker.
I know he was a linebacker, but he played
Reggie
from
White
the edge.
Played as a defensive end.
Lawrence Taylor played from the
inside.
edge to get the numbers he got in that regard. He wasn't going up the middle double teamed. That wasn't what he did. What Aaron Donald did from the position he did it at and the way he completely altered other teams' game plans on a weekly basis, to me, and I'm biased to the guys in the trenches, and Pinky and I have talked about this, and this is something we do agree on, actually. Cheers.
We love our fat guys.
You build from the trenches, inside out, and then you build back. And Aaron Donald is by far the greatest interior lineman to ever play the game, in my opinion. And I actually personally believe he is the greatest defensive player to ever play the game because he played in an area where defense was basically nullified to the point they tried to do everything they could to take your advantages away. If you go back and look at what Lawrence Taylor and Reggie White got away with, you go even further back and look at somebody who I think should be mentioned as one of the greatest defensive players, but doesn't get as much mention in Deacon Jones and the head slap shuffle basically that he created to just knock guys out at the line of scrimmage. I think Aaron Donald was at the most disadvantage from a defensive standpoint and did the most with that still.
So I will disagree with that point. That
Cheers,
he's
Pinky,
not
by the way, for the other point we do agree on.
I just disagree on this point that defensive tackle in today's game is a little bit different because the O-lines are not as good today as they were in the past because they don't have as much practice time.
What? I would
Now, again, he's doing we've never seen a guy that takes 3 or 4 dudes to block, period.
So pause for a second, and then I'll let you continue because I understand where you're going, and I agree with you to an extent. If you want to say the units as a whole might have been better, I could maybe get on board with that. But the individual players in today's game, I think, are far more athletic from an offensive line standpoint.
They are, but if you look at it is out there. The offensive line play is not what it used to be. And a lot of the offensive linemen that pay attention will say, hey, you don't get two-a-days.
You're right. They don't get that same physical
cohesion.
practice that they used to. So
we have better athletes playing these positions.
But that's why I brought that up because I think that those things offset each other to the point where it's still
a little bit
same.
No, he's not as disadvantaged though at his position because the rules are for behind him. The linebackers and corners and safeties are the guys that are like, we can't hit a guy. We can only hit him in this area.
Yeah, but they don't really call offensive line holding the way they used to either.
They usually call it more today than they used to.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Now again, he's still and he, if you want to put him in the argument, absolutely. I like anybody that says he shouldn't be in the argument for best defensive player ever. If they said you're dumb for that take, that's stupid. Like, he really is in that conversation. Now, I did watch Reggie White play at his top of his game. I did too.
I just don't really remember it the way I want to really make that. Yeah, I saw him play. I remember watching Jordan play. Like, I remember that. I remember watching Reggie play more so with the Packers than the Eagles, which also wasn't necessarily the prime of his career. More on the downside of his prime than the upside of his prime. But I wish I had the memory of really seeing it, because my memory with those guys, Pinky, is more the highlights I've seen now than it is my own memory. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So, and that affects it. It just does. And I know that. And I that's why I said that from the get, that I know I'm going to be a little biased in that situation. But hey, cheers in the sense that we both agree he's in the conversation. Whether you put him one or not, he's in that conversation.
I feel like it's just, you're just in one of those things of like, if you talk to 10 people, I would say you have 3 that say Lawrence Taylor, 3 that say Reggie White, 4 say Aaron Donald, or there's that one guy that's going to break the tie, but pretty much.
Or I will give you another name and maybe one other that should be mentioned and isn't. Deion Sanders. I think you might have one guy say Deion. He kind of always gets thrown in there, and he is, in my opinion, and I don't care what anybody says, the greatest cornerback to ever play the game. But to me, the second greatest cornerback to ever play the game, and actually maybe is a 1A to Deion, and is just insanely underrated, Champ Bailey. Mm-hmm. I truly think he doesn't get enough recognition as being in that elite echelon of greatest defensive players to ever play the game.
Absolutely, and I'm trying to remember why. I think like towards the end of his prime is when Darrelle Revis got going. And so then like Darrelle Revis took over the conversation, and people kind of forget that. But
I wish I could find it again, and I should have. Wait, let me see. I hope I took a picture, because it blew, and I knew you would love this. So
Robert, I don't think you commented on this, and do you have, I know I'm hoping that you have some Aaron Donald memories. But what do you know about Reggie White or Lawrence Taylor, or what are your thoughts?
Slim to none, I'll be honest with you on that one. So I'll have to do some research on that and kind of formulate an opinion. Yes, having watched Aaron Donald, what great career. I have somewhat of an affinity for the Rams. That was one of my dad's teams growing up. So he was a big LA Rams fan. That was one of his big heartaches this season, is having to choose between the Lions and the Rams when they went head to head. So getting to see how, what he's been doing, getting back into the sports, side of things the last couple of years, it's been wonderful to see what he's done for the game. And yeah, I mean, and like you mentioned, Caleb Champ Bailey, he was one of my favorite defensive players of all time. Too.
So I don't remember the exact stat, but for him, it was something like, it was like the 2005 season. He had like a total of like 15 balls thrown at him.
Like 50.
No, literally, it was like 15 or maybe 30. It was not 50, I assure you, because this is the stat that blew my mind. I think it was 30, actually, not 13. I apologize, or 15 or whatever. I think it was 30. Because it was, I remember thinking this is like a baseball stat, but it's absurd for a cornerback. 30 passes thrown at him. He had, it was something like 19 or 20 pass breakups, 10 interceptions, and a touchdown. Or something ridiculous like that.
Right. He was defensive player of the year that year.
Yeah, just absurd. And granted, that's 1 year. And any player in any sport can go out of nowhere and have a season that's way above their average and could be the greatest season ever. Like, that's one of the greatest things about sports is we hear these crazy, miraculous stories all the time. But that's just Champ's greatest year, which is arguably the greatest year a cornerback's ever had. So keep that in mind. And then if you go look at the rest of his career, that's not far off from his averages. So the dude is wildly underrated because he didn't get to play in any meaningful games. And when you start talking about, those GOAT statuses and the number one spots and things of that nature, if you never played in any meaningful games, regardless of whether it's a team sport or not, you do take a hit a little bit. And I think rightfully so, because for whatever reason, whether you made a choice to stay on that team or you didn't try to go ring chase later in your career or whatever it might be, you were a part of teams that just didn't get it done. And I don't care if it's a team sport or not, you still have to own that a little bit. Even if you played some of your best football, you still, there's always something you could have done to be better and help your team be better. There always is, whether you win or lose. So, he has to eat that. Unfortunately, part of Champ's legacy is never really getting to play in a game that meant anything.
Well, he was in the AFC Championship game against Pittsburgh.
I know they did get there, but at least maybe it's just me. But when I think of Champ Bailey, I think of somebody who didn't get to play in those big games. And maybe it's because it wasn't consistent. I don't know.
Well, he got to.
Maybe it's because when they got to that AFC Championship game, I didn't think they had a legit chance to win.
They did. They just didn't change their philosophy.
I'm just trying to think of reasons why that's not something that immediately comes to mind. Because I do believe part of the knock on him is not getting to play in the big games.
Well, the thing is, he only had like 2 playoff runs with the Broncos before Peyton Manning got there. He was on that Tebow team. He was on the Peyton Manning's first year. He was actually on the Super Bowl squad as well.
If they had just stuck with Jake Plummer.
But he was just not good. He was at the end of his career that Super Bowl year. So, but Aaron Donald, 10 years, 10 Pro Bowls.
I'm a big
7 All-Pros.
Yep.
Defensive Player of the Years 3 times. I still remember like him closing out the Super Bowl against the Bengals, sacking, Joe Burrow.
I remember the first time. I mean, he was in the league 10 years, 11 years,
10.
10. Yeah, I remember his rookie year because I remember thinking about the name coming out of Pitt. Solid defensive player, getting some talk for defensive player of the year in college and things of that nature. And so I remember, but you hear defensive lineman, interior defensive lineman, you think big dudes.
Right.
That's the natural thing. And especially me, who's a Nebraska fan, those were the big boys. Those are the corn-fed interior linemen, big boys who were going to make you look small as a human being. And then you see Aaron Donald and you go, is the dude even 5'10"?
He's 6.
I'm just saying. You look at him, you go, sitting next to everybody, you go, is he even 5'10"? Like,
he's a little dude.
Is he even 5'10"? And then you look at him, you go, I mean, is he truly even 280? Like, is he truly even? And then he gets on the field, you go, I don't fucking care. None of that matters. This dude is a straight beast.
So he is one of the stronger guys that you'll ever meet.
Oh my
God. Also, because of how short he is, he's got leverage on everybody he's up against.
But
which is
that
really
doesn't
his
always
greatest
matter.
skill.
You have to be able to know how to use the leverage and have the technique to take advantage of those things. And that dude is just the greatest at all of that.
Do you know? He's better than this player, but this player from the 90s and early 2000s was the epitome of the smaller guy who just got it done. Do you know who I'm thinking of? Defensive tackle. He's in the Hall of Fame.
Oh my God. Oh, Jesus. I totally just had this in my head as soon as you started talking about it. Oh, I can see him, Pinky. You're gonna make me so frustrated with myself.
What do you know he's wearing on his face? He always did the black under the eyes.
Oh God.
And he always went crazy. Ah!
Wait, wasn't he in the movie Little Giants?
No, that's Lawrence Taylor.
Yeah. He went crazy too, but
just tell me, because this is gonna drive me nuts. I'm drawing a blank on this name right now.
John Randall.
Thank you. Minnesota Vikings. But he was a defensive end. Played a little interior, but he didn't go in the Hall of Fame as a D end.
He's a D tackle.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Which again, he got a lot of notoriety because he would get double-digit
But
sacks.
even Randall's bigger than Donald, isn't he? Isn't Randall like 6'1", 6'2"?
I don't know if he's. I'll have to look it up.
Like, I truly believe Aaron Donald is 5'10". Like, legit, I believe he's the same size, maybe 5'11", same size as me. Like, I do not believe he is 6 foot. I don't. And it doesn't matter because the dude will just destroy you no matter who you. I want to see Aaron Donald in retirement go over to Japan and sumo wrestle.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
John Randall.
And put some of those dudes in their place.
John Randall is 6'1", 290.
Yeah.
Defensive tackle.
Okay. I know he didn't he play DN for a little bit though in Minnesota? Am I just thinking that, or
I don't remember him ever playing DN.
Why am I remembering him playing DN?
I mean, you can always move a guy to DN for a couple.
Well, obviously, yeah, absolutely. What's Donald? Tell me.
They have Donald at 6'1", 284.
Bullshit, that dude's 6'1". There is no. Did you see him sitting next to Steph Curry that one day? There's no way he's 6'1". Steph Curry actually made Aaron Donald look small. Now, not like small, but like literally small. And I went, oh yeah, Steph's legit 6'3". Like I will never forget that picture for the rest of my life. I saw that and I go, well, that's the difference between basketball and football players. And Steph is a legit 6'3". Those were like instantaneous thoughts that I had when I saw that picture. But I love Aaron Donald. One of my favorite football players of all time, right after Tommy Frazier, is Ndamukong Suh. Like, I'm an interior trenches dude. And Aaron Donald has always been one of my guys. Ever since he came into the league, just an absolute monster and a beast. So love it.
Cheers to Aaron Donald. May he have fun in whatever his next endeavor is. So,
Pinky, next big NFL topic.
Well, I think everybody lost their minds over the weekend when Justin Fields got traded. And, I think a couple people are like, oh, you only got a sixth round pick for him and all this stuff. And, I mean, the Steelers immediately put out they had better offers on the table. They just wanted to send him to where he wanted to go.
Yeah. First of all, I'm going to throw you some quick points and I'll let you guys digest because I'm going to still have a lot to say after you guys are done. I'll let you rant and vent and end it. But let me throw you these 3 or 4 quick points that you guys can go off of here as well. First of all, Bears bullshit. You didn't have better offers on the table. That was the only offer you had on the table. Let's be honest about the situation. Secondly, you don't even have an offer on the table unless Kenny Pickett decides to be a bitch. I'm usually not a big fan of calling people such. I'm usually not a big fan of necessarily cursing on the show because I want to make sure that we get to as wide a range audience as possible. There's no other way to describe the situation. My man, by all accounts right now that I'm reading, the moment Russ was signed, canceled a scheduled session with his wide receivers, throwing session with his wide receivers, canceled it. Then proceeded to tell the Steelers that he was not going to compete with Russ for a spot, whether it was starting or backup. And the Steelers, I mean, come on, Kenny Pickett, of all organizations to say such harebrained, dumb ideas to, that is not the one. Not the one. Mike Tomlin came out and said, I want people who want to be here. I don't want people who are forced to be here. I'm saying it kinder than he did even. They traded him as a backup to Jalen Hurts at Philadelphia. He will never see the field again. Plain and simple.
He wants volunteers, not hostages.
Yeah, volunteers, not hostages. Thank you, Pinky. I actually like that better. I should have just said his words because it's so much better. I want volunteers, not hostages. Kenny Pickett, get the hell out of Dodge. Big E, if you're out there, if you watch this later, my sincere apologies, good sir. Baker is better than Kenny Pickett. There's no question. This isn't even the conversation. I was wrong. I will eat crow on that. Not a problem at all.
Well, got to get that soundbite now. Got to come back and get that soundbite.
It is what it is.
That'll
Kenny
be posted
Pickett,
on the next week.
Baker ain't good, but Baker got that dog. Kenny Pickett ain't good, and Kenny Pickett ain't got that dog. Pickett's NFL career is done. Let's throw that point out there. That's crazy. So this doesn't even. That's the only offer you had, Bears. I don't care what you said, Ryan Poles. You are terrible at your job. I've said that after last offseason. I will say it after this offseason. You lucked into Caleb Williams, and you will ruin him. Kenny Pickett, thank you. Thank you, because you got my guy Fields out of Chicago. You got into a fabulous organization with a lot of talent around him and a competent head coach, more than competent head coach. So thank you, Kenny Pickett, for helping my boy out and getting him into a position. Third, anyone out there, and I'm more than happy to eat all the crow on this if it happens because I don't give a shit. Anybody out there who is foolish enough to think Russell Wilson will still be the starter week 1? I mean, bless your heart.
I'll bet you
Bless your heart. I don't know what else to do for you. My boy is about to do work in Pittsburgh.
I will bet you a 6-pack right now. Russell Wilson starts week 1.
No, sir. No, sir. Because what's going to happen, Pinky, is they're going to get a camp, and Pittsburgh's going to go, oh. Not only did we think there was something here and this guy had potential, this guy is actually legit, and the Bears were holding him back and doing him an injustice. And now that we get to watch him in person, Russ, we paid you $1 million for a reason. Go sit on the bench, mentor this young man, and be the good human being that you are, because Kenny Pickett is Kenny Pickett. I was going to say Kenny Pickett's replacement, which has turned into Justin Fields. I was going to say it better, and it just all blah, 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 blah. Justin Fields is about to do work in Pittsburgh. Do work. And I'm going to tell you right now, fantasy people, early heads up. Make sure you're drafting Justin Fields and go ahead and tag that along with George Pickens immediately. And Najee Harris and Jalen Warren are going to be solid grabs as well because of who the OC is now. But I'm telling you, that OC, what did he do with Ryan Tannehill, Pinky? What did he do with Ryan Tannehill? You don't think he's going to turn around and do that same thing with Justin Fields and make things just amazing?
No, I don't.
Oh.
Because I don't believe in Justin Fields. Is he better than Pickett? Absolutely.
You don't think he's better than Ryan Tannehill?
I mean, he's better than Ryan Tannehill today, probably, but Ryan Tannehill a couple years ago was actually pretty legit.
Was he legit before that OC showed up in Tennessee?
He was not.
He was not. In fact, didn't a certain team trade him after picking him, I think, like 10th overall in the first round?
I mean, they had him for like 5 or 6 years in Miami before they did. So it's not like they just gave up. It was more than that, bro. Oh,
I don't think it was. I don't think it was, Pinky.
It absolutely was, my friend.
Pinky's like, let me giggle it.
It might have been 4. And keep this in mind. What was Ryan Tannehill in college, Pinky? When he first got to college at Texas A&M, what was he?
He was a wide receiver.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was. So
12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, he was not. He was hurt. And then he played 18 in Miami.
Miami kept him that long?
Yes, sir.
Ugh, my bad. Good call, Pinky. Cheers to you, sir. I did not remember that.
Now, not all of those years were good years.
Right, obviously. That's why they got rid of him. But for 2 years, at Tennessee, without injuries, injury-free, which is crazy for Tannehill's career, injury-free for 2 years, he was a top 10, not just fantasy, NFL top 10 quarterback in that offense with Tennessee with no weapons. I mean, in all honesty, with really Derrick Henry, but nothing to really throw to.
Delaney Walker was pretty awesome during that 2-year stretch.
I do like Delaney Walker. I'll give you that. That was a solid. That's one that when we get old and we're like grandparents and our kids are like watching some highlights and we're like, look at that. That guy never lived up to his potential, but he was really good, that Delaney Walker. That's like one of those names, you know what I mean? Like something we remember that will never be in history books. But you're right. But Tannehill didn't have anything compared to you're gonna have Jalen Warren, Najee Harris, who are both bigger weapons out of the backfield than Derrick Henry ever was, and should be really great running backs again in that offense with that offensive coordinator. I keep saying that offensive coordinator, not mentioning his name, because as a head coach, I'm not mentioning his name. Because as a head coach, what he did in Atlanta with those weapons was atrocious. There's no excuse for what he did with those weapons in Atlanta. But I do think he's a good OC. So I'll keep saying that OC because he did some good things. Before
I give the floor to Robert.
Freiermuth, Pickens, whatever receiver they draft this year that you know is going to be good because that's what Pittsburgh does. Fields is week 1.
Hold on.
I'll shut up now. I apologize. Instead of let you guys rant, I'll shut up.
I'm going to make this real simple and clear. And I told you I'll put a 6-pack on it right now. Or we could do a bottle of whiskey. I'll write it down. Mike Tomlin, before Russell Wilson signed, he told him he was going to get first starting.
Yeah, because Kenny Pickett was the other quarterback on the roster.
And this is probably unfair because I actually listened to the Rich Eisen show, and he had the Steelers insider on. And the Steelers insider specifically said, Mike Tomlin has already told Russell Wilson he is the starter. Justin Fields has been told he is the backup. It is not a competition. Now, here's where I will agree with you. Russell Wilson will be the week 1 starter because Mike Tomlin lives up to his word. And Russ will not be awful in a hand the ball off play action offense that Arthur Smith runs. He's actually going to probably be pretty okay in that offense. But I do believe Fields will start in the season based on performance of Russell Wilson. So Fields is still going to play. He's not going to play week 1. And it's because Mike Tomlin,
he will. You're right. He will live up to his word. You are absolutely right, Pinky. He will live up to his word. I agree with you 1,000%. This is just where we see it differently, my guy. I have yet to hear a report where Tomlin or Pittsburgh as an organization told Russell Wilson he will be the week 1 starter. He is the starter. Cool. Russ can enter training camp on the depth chart as number 1. By the time training camp ends, that entire team will very quickly realize Fields will be the week 1 starter and Russ will be a very viable backup in case Fields performs under what they expect or gets hurt, which he has done a few times as well.
I just don't see it, man. He's a man of his word.
Right. But when did he say he was week 1 starter? I have yet to hear that.
The Pittsburgh insider said specifically, Mike Tomlin in the press conference said he is the starter. And it has been reaffirmed that Russell
the starter,
Wilson
sure. You can be the starter when training camp starts.
I don't think Russell's going to play bad enough in preseason in the limited snaps in a play-action, run-heavy offense.
This has nothing to do with Russ's play. This has everything to do with when they get in camp, Russ will be the starter. He will be taking the first-team reps. But by the time that first week of training camp is done, that second week of training camp is done, and they're back at home, they're not on location, that whole team will be talking about Justin Fields as the starter. And what is Mike Tomlin? He's a player coach, baby. He is a player coach.
Are we doing a bottle or a 6-pack? Which one are we doing? I mean, you believe that hard in Justin Fields.
Bottle of Buffalo Trace. I got you.
Okay, Justin Fields, week 1 starter.
We'll do a bottle.
Bottle of Buffalo Trace. That's fair enough. That's about 25. That's good. All right, it's on the books.
My dude about to do work.
All right.
And I really, Pinky, you know this. I've been telling you this. He should have been a Bronco. They screwed it up as soon as he got drafted by the Bears. I said they finally, hang on. I said they finally got their franchise quarterback. Didn't I tell you that? I was so mad.
It's your turn. It's Robert's turn.
No,
Yeah,
not
Caleb.
because of Robert. I'm just this Fields thing in Chicago, and just go ahead, Robert. I'm sorry, I should shut up. I said I would.
So you're good. So personally, no, I agree with Pinky. Russell Wilson's going to start week 1, and then we'll see where it evolves from there. I think Justin Fields, yes, is going to learn and probably take some snaps. Absolutely. But in the end of the day, Russell Wilson's going to be the one to lead the team. That's
Let me
just
ask
how
you this, and Robert, you feel free to comment first. I actually am under the belief that I'm totally good with having a solid vet and sitting your rookie year 1, letting him kind of learn a couple things, not playing, and then playing year 2. I actually think that might be the best case scenario for all rookie quarterbacks. If you can get that perfect scenario where you have a solid veteran that can play for the full year. With Justin Fields, though, he's already played 3 seasons. I don't need him sitting behind anybody to learn at all. I think he knows everything he needs to. The Bears are just trash. The coaching, the front office, the pieces they gave him outside of Komet and DJ Moore, they're just all awful. And I think he's going to be in a good situation now with good coaching and playmakers around him. And I need somebody to explain to me why he needs to sit behind Russ to learn and he can't play and Russ can teach him from the sideline holding an iPad. Because I don't see any benefit to Fields sitting for a year. And I don't see Russ being the better quarterback. Because I think you're going to get basically the exact same numbers for both of them. It's just going to be done slightly differently because Fields can still move and Russ can't. So can somebody please explain to me why sitting for a year behind Russ is better than learning from Russ as the backup?
Because even with the 3 years that Justin Fields had with the Bears, he still could have produced some sort of viability and hasn't. Russell Wilson was actually somewhat on a streak and towards the end of the last season with the Broncos here. And that's why I personally think that Fields is going to have to ride that back seat and learn how the Steelers offense is really going to operate with Russ Wilson.
Russell Wilson, again, he's going to start week 1, but that leash is going to be really short. That's what I'm thinking. Because the other thing that the Steelers have, and of course Caleb leaves the room when I'm going to say nice things, they'll have to figure out if they want to sign Justin Fields to a much larger contract. Because after this season, he will be a free agent. Because they're not picking up his 5th-year option. That would be dumb to put $20 million on the books for next year without seeing him play. Mm-hmm. So they're going to be in a position where if they don't see him play at all, they're not going to know if he's worth putting money into for the following couple seasons. So I think Fields is going to play. I just think they're going to try to start off with Russ, see how it goes. So
100%.
And,
okay, speaking of Rebel Moon, trailer's gone live on TV now.
Oh, I don't even want to watch. Hopefully it's better than the first one.
I'm excited, bro.
It's a hot mess.
But I guess when Mr. Caleb gets back, let's
just
go ahead and
forward from that.
Let's just do the bracket.
Fields. How about the Texans trading their first round pick to the Vikings? I was pretty shocked by this trade. It didn't seem to make me.
There's no logic.
Any sense to me of why you would do that. The Texans got 2 second-round picks and like a pick in the 4th or 5th round, and for a first-round pick this year, like this makes no sense. I almost feel like it was in draft. They were in draft day for some reason, and they were playing out for the scene from draft day where you give somebody multiple second-round picks for a first-round pick. That makes no sense. That's one of the moves from the Texans that I'm like, I know what you were thinking, but if you didn't get their first from next year to move completely out of the first round altogether and move further back into the second round, and then you get a second rounder in 2025, no, you give me your first rounder in 2025 or we're not talking. Like, simple as that. Bad move by the Texans. Sorry, we moved on while you were gone, Caleb.
No, please. Let's continue to move on. Any more football topics, or can we get to my
I'm ready for the bracket.
my love and joy?
Robert's ready. So I'll remove my ugly face, and we will get the.
No, you
bracket
should
on
still
here.
be. You should still be on the way you did it earlier.
I'll be on there. I won't see what I'm doing on screen anymore.
Gotcha.
'Cause
You
it
won't
just
see, but
shows-
everybody will. Everybody will
Everybody-
still get to see Pinky. Don't worry. Don't worry.
Where's the down arrow? This ESPN page is not amazing, but all
I
right.
got my sleeper up actually.
Does your sleeper work?
I've
Why
got
do
it
you
up.
always do sleeper? It's not.
I
best
don't.
for everything.
I was turned on to this by Pinky. I have ESPN for my fantasy
Pinky is
football
the
with
best
another, with
fantasy
another
football
group.
app out there right now. No problem saying that whatsoever.
So
it's not the
I-
best app for all things fantasy, though.
I do have ESPN, and I can absolutely pull that up on my iPad.
Yeah,
That's
but then
what
you
I'm
can't share screen.
I can share my screen if I. You know what?
Why don't you try? I will stop. And we'll
I
let
would
you
love
try.
to know why I don't have the option to do screen share.
Because I don't know. Your iPad's not cool, I guess. I don't know. Is it an older iPad?
No, this is the new.
Nugget's gonna fuck around and find out tonight. Come on, guys. They gave
They're
up a
coasting through the
15-point lead.
regular season. Who gives a shit?
Actually, I don't have one. Oh wait, nope, I got it.
Pinky.
I can see
Okay.
it.
What?
Come on.
How come? Oh, man.
Yep, I
Where-
got it.
But it's not showing up on here yet, Robert.
Well, I don't have it pulled up on my. I gotta log in here, sir. I wasn't prepared to.
Come
Do
on,
that.
Robert. You're better than that.
I wasn't.
StreamYard really hates Apple. Like, that's really what it comes down to, I think.
StreamYard hates Apple.
We're about to fill out a bracket for all of you. And this is going to be interesting because I am pretty sure we're not going to agree on some of these. Maybe even a lot of these.
I don't know if I'm going to have a lot to back up any opinions I have.
All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see. But we're putting out a sports nonsense and whiskey bracket. We are putting it out there.
Yes. Go ahead and
Robert's
start
gonna fill
talking.
this
I'm
out.
working on
Robert's
it. I'm
going to
working
fill this
on it.
out for us while we do it. We are going to screenshot that and we will post it on our social media as our official podcast bracket. How
Welcome
about that?
to
How about
cheat
that?
off of our bracket anytime. We don't mind. Hopefully you play in a bracket that wins you money. That's what it's all about.
And the beauty of this, guys, is these two don't have a lot of basketball opinion.
Michigan
Not that they
State,
don't-
baby.
Not that they don't enjoy the game. They just don't have a depth of knowledge on this like they do their football or their nerddom or other things.
Or soccer.
And so I might get to push a little bit of some of this fun stuff here into the bracket. It'll be interesting. Or soccer. Final Four Champions League going down here. Keep an eye on that as we wait for Robert to load this up here.
Come on, Robert.
Hey,
Making
I'm
us wait.
sorry.
Gosh, Robert. Man.
I wasn't prepared to be put on the spot like this, okay?
I'll keep talking a little football, a little soccer while Robert's pulling this up still, just to throw it out there for some of those that might care a little bit. I do enjoy how the teams from 20, 30 years ago, especially in that Premier League, the Bundesliga, the La Liga is still kind of the same, but not really the same. It's kind of taken a cyclical turn with Atletico Madrid and things of that nature. But as a whole, there's been a little bit of a change of the guard. You see Man City coming up instead of Man United or Chelsea. You see
Arsenal, men are going against Bayern. I'm so hyped.
Arsenal coming up, but Arsenal's kind of always been good. Man City, not as much. Chelsea used to be a beast. I mean, I can think back to the Drogba days with Chelsea, where they were just owning people. You think about Barcelona. You think about Real Madrid. Still good, but not dominating La Liga the way they were. You think about Bayern Munich. Oh, they're struggling a little bit right now. So you are getting a nice change of the guard as a whole with some of the teams being different than what you might have seen growing up as a kid. So if you watched it then and you got away from it, I would highly recommend coming back to it because there is definitely some names worth watching and some amazing play going on right now at the highest level. So take that for what it's worth. Moving on to the bracket. The
As you can
greatest
see
single
here.
sporting event in the world.
There we go. There we
The
go.
tourney. Let's do this. Right
All right,
now,
Robert.
UConn. Boom. Winning. No questions asked. Anybody have a problem with that? Let's move on.
All right.
Easy enough. Moving on.
Robert, you're going to have to screenshot this. So everybody, I'm going to need you to do some work. We're going to need to see all this. Print it out and scan it. I don't care what you do. UConn. Pick them. Let's go.
So between UConn, Stetson, obviously, I'm going to favor UConn over that.
I don't think any one seed loses this year, so let's move on.
Nah, hell no. Not even close. FAU Northwestern, what are you fellas feeling?
I honestly, being a Big Ten fave, I got to favor that, but I'm not too familiar with FAU. So
That's the one thing I do like about Sleeper is they will literally pull up and tell you statistics.
All
take
the
a look
stats,
here.
we'll pull them up, Pinky. Start kind of filling out a bracket as we do this and throw some knowledge on people. Let them know.
Here, I got some stats right here.
All
Sleeper is a little better. It gives it to you a little more straightforward than ESPN, so I will agree with Pinky on this. So give them the big stats, Pinky.
I think
Defense, opponents, points per game, defensive points per game, field goal percentage. It lays it out some pretty basics that I do like.
I'm gonna go with FAU, baby. I'm gonna go with the Owls.
Yeah, you are. That's my boy. FAU, I agree.
FAU.
So 2 out of 3, FAU it is.
All right.
I like UAB in this next matchup. Great underdog. In all honesty, I'm probably going to pick all 12s over 5s this year, and I think that's realistically legit. But I really like the fact that FAU, I think, can get up and down and run. I think San Diego is more of a defensive squad, and I don't believe they're going to be able to keep up with UAB. That's my reasoning there.
Okay.
That one's a
Pinky?
tough one, but if he says UAB, let's go UAB. Although San Diego State did make the finals last year.
They absolutely did. Slightly different team, though, and like I said, more defensive-minded than offensive. And what have I always told you? Pinky, do you remember what I told you matters most when it comes to the tourney, in my opinion, to make a deep run?
Offense.
Do you remember what I told you? Offense, but more specifically, what on offense truly drives that?
Typically, guys who can make their own can score at will.
Yes. And maybe I'm not asking this right, but guard play.
Right.
Specifically, great guard play. And I believe UAB has a little bit more of that on their side than San Diego, and they are a little bit more offensively minded. So I do like that matchup there for UAB. The next matchup, it's not even a question. Auburn, move along. Auburn's actually a really good team, can be really dangerous to make a sneaky run. I bet a lot of people will have them on their Final Fours in their bracket. We won't, hopefully. But I think a lot of people could pick them as a sneaky Final Four run. And it's Yale. Ivy League. Overrated. Get out of here.
Agree on that one.
Okay, fair enough.
This next matchup's interesting because Duquesne, and I know I'm not saying that right, but I always say it that way, and I can never pronounce it correctly. I apologize to Duquesne. There's a lot of people picking them as a nice little sleeper. I actually like BYU here, and there's a couple reasons. And I mentioned this with football. I'll say it again here with basketball. Just because of plain facts, guys. Just because of plain facts. And I'll get to this point from Dark's Age because I do like it, and he's not wrong.
Yeah.
But just because of the simple fact that BYU student athletes are on average 2 to 3 years older than the people they're playing against, because of their mission that they go take after their freshman year, their sophomore year, I can't remember exactly how it works, and they go for a year or two. And then they come back as adults instead of young adults, and they continue their college career and their athletics. BYU also has some talent. And I like the potential that they can put together, especially on the offensive end. They're kind of dangerous. So I like them over what a lot of people are kind of looking as a sleeper in the Dukes.
Okay.
So Dukes, I would say I would have to agree with that. BYU has kind of shown some weak points I've seen from just some of the highlights I caught over the weekend. And I think from what I've seen for Dukes, they really got an opportunity to kind of shine and move forward in the tournament, maybe get through the next 2 rounds or so. So I'm
You're
kind of
both picking the Dukes?
I'd go with it.
No, I'm going BYU Cougars, baby.
Oh, change that, Robert. You're on your
Change
own
it.
again, buddy. 2 out of 3 is for BYU
Okay.
here, sir. I like the optimism there, my guy, and we'll get to some sleepers hopefully we agree on, but I don't see that as being the one. Real quick, Dark Age. No,
Sage.
actually, the Ivy League does not do well as a whole in the tournament. They have had some teams, though, on some rare occasions, make some nice runs. I don't see that at all this year from that Yale team. This is not one of those Ivy League teams where they're super intelligent and have some athletic ability and talent. Maybe I'm wrong. If they make an Elite Eight, bro, please come back on here and remind us that you said that so that I can congratulate you and eat some crow.
Big time.
Yeah, absolutely, because I don't see that at all, but if you got that in your brackets and it happens, more power to you, my man. More power to you. Next up, Illinois, and I will talk about them a lot as we move forward with this, but I'm going to shout it out right now, and I'm going to continue this as we go forward. Illinois got a dude in Shannon. A dude. A smooth lefty who is going to propel them through this tournament, and they smoke Morehead State in this first round because of that.
Absolutely.
So Illinois then?
Yes,
Illinois.
sir.
No question.
Now, I think Drake is a dangerous matchup here. I don't think the Pac-12 was strong as a whole this year at all. Definitely down. I don't think Washington State is all that great. And I like Drake as that mid-major to advance here.
Drake it is.
All right.
Iowa State, no question. Let's move forward. Great team.
Oh, Iowa State. I've got them going far.
I like it. I like it, Pinky. Over here, Houston, I think gets out to the first round.
Is that where
No
we're going? Hold
problem.
on. Let me catch up.
Okay.
We're going to Houston? Okay.
Houston now. Yep.
All right.
I think Houston gets out of the first round, no issues. But if they still have some injuries like a Kansas that we will talk about here in a moment, they could be in some real trouble. And as far as advancing forward, we'll talk here, but they could be some serious issues here for Houston. But I do like them out of the first round, no problem. If they were fully healthy, Final Four run, maybe even a finals run for Houston, no question. But they're not, and that puts some serious question into their possibilities. And for anybody, and I know Pinky saw this, what happened to them in the Big 12 tournament final was I think people need to pay more attention and take that at more value than maybe they are right now with Houston. So we'll see.
They got smoked.
This next one, I hope the numbers back up my hometown bias here, Pinky, because I literally am not trying to be biased here. Again, what have I said propels teams through the tournament?
Guard play.
Guard play. Nebraska has one of the most sneaky, efficient, possible get on a hot streak breakout stars of the tournament in their guard Taminga.
Is that the Asian guy?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. And if anybody hasn't watched him, look, I know I'm a Nebraska dude, but watch him. He is fun to watch. He's been called the Asian Steph Curry and a lot of other things. But Nebraska can get on hot streaks. They can shoot. They could put some lights out this year, and they could play some decent defense. They are smaller. They do have a size disadvantage against almost anybody they play this year, I think. And that could be a factor in the tournament. But because I believe so highly in guard play, and that being one of the major factors in what usually becomes a great story in propelling teams through the tournament, I do believe Nebraska wins this first round matchup.
I would agree with you. Based on that, I would agree.
Now, Texas A&M is no slouch, and there are some people, and we'll talk about this here in a second when we go through the round of 32. There are some people who have Texas A&M making a Final Four run potentially. I just happen to see that as actually being Nebraska, not Texas A&M, and we'll discuss as we move forward why. But Nebraska over Texas A&M, you guys good with that?
Sure.
Yep.
Okay. Next up,
I got Wisconsin.
I told you I'm doing 12-5s, baby.
James
and I'm doing
Madison.
12s. Yeah,
I hope-
Pinky.
I
That's
hope
my
Clayton-
boy.
I hope
Let's
Clayton's
go, Blue.
not listening.
Cheers, my guy.
Clayton, I hope you're not
James
listening
Madison
anymore.
on that one.
James Madison.
Clayton, we apologize,
Look.
but James Madison is legit. And actually, they should have been in the tournament last year, but weren't allowed to because they were moving up to Division
Look.
One, and they still had that buffer that they couldn't take care of.
I won't take credit for this. I did listen to 2 or 3 guys that were on the popular podcast that I listened to that were talking about the tournament, sleepers, good teams, why these are bad matchups. And one of the guys did mention James Madison was one of the ones that should win that first round game.
Look, here's the deal. James Madison's talented, and they are a good team. And Wisconsin's not the Wisconsin of 10, 15 years ago that was very defensive-minded and efficient. That's not the Wisconsin now. Wisconsin got a couple dudes. I can't remember their names off the top of my head. I apologize. We already clarified. I'm bad with names.
That's true.
But they got a couple of dudes who can play. So don't get me wrong. I don't think this is going to be a cakewalk for James Madison by any means. But I told you I'm going 12/5s this year. I really like the matchups the 12s got. I really like the situations that they're in. And I really like James Madison this as well. So, Robert, apologies, my guy, but you got overruled 2-3 again. 2-1, I should say.
Wisconsin's going to take this one, but all right.
Madison it is.
When you fill out your bracket, you make sure you click on
Oh,
Wisconsin.
I will. I
do.
will.
Duke's the next one. I don't have a lot to say either way, but we'll go Duke and move forward. This next one, NC State, and this is a sleepy team that people should be more aware of. They got a big dude in DJ Reed Jr., I believe is his name.
Yeah.
Who his biggest idol growing up was Hakeem Olajuwon. And if you watch the dude play and know that, you realize that meant something to him because his footwork and the way he moves around the basket and handles his game, I'm not calling him Hakeem Olajuwon. I'm saying he's on that level. But he tries to play in that mindset. And along with Monta or something along those lines, I'm drawing a blank on the guard's name again. I apologize, everybody. North Carolina, sneaky good. Texas Tech, not a bad team. Again, those Big 12 teams, not bad. But I really like NC State here a lot.
Put in the books, Robert. NC State.
You got it. Kentucky, obviously.
Kentucky move forward. Yeah, I don't have a lot to say about this game either. I don't think Oakland has much of a shot. Florida here as well. I think, look, Florida's not back completely, but I think we're starting to see a resurgence of Florida basketball, and I do like them to get out of the first round here. Not a problem. Next up, and I'm going to continue to talk about this. These Big East teams are legit, people. These Big East teams are legit, so pay attention to them. Marquette, not even a question. Now, you got to scroll down further, my guy, because there should be,
There we go.
I was going to say there should be a whole nother set of brackets here. Let's start over here out west.
Screen's only so big, Caleb.
It's good. I understand. We might have to take a couple screenshots, Robert, to post this for everybody and see what happens.
No,
Let's
I
start
should be
over
able
on-
to print this and save a PDF, so we should be fine.
Okay, start over on that left side. West, North Carolina, rolls, easy, move forward. Michigan State, I don't even want to question this because Robert and I are both on that bandwagon. We're not going to talk about it. Is
Thank
on the
you.
tournament. Brilliant. Michigan State, I don't even want to hear Mississippi State talk about. But I will give you a little secret if you're in an office pool and you want a little trick out of this first round, a little sneaky, I don't give a shit what anybody says. You can't tell me I'm wrong either way. When you fill out your bracket, you just put SMU. Everybody
SMU
catching
what?
on?
Say it
Everybody
again.
catching on to that?
No.
In that matchup, Michigan State, Mississippi
Oh.
State, you don't write the name. You just write SMU on that next line. If you're in an office pool or anything, you got some money on the line and you're filling out a hand bracket, write SMU, okay? Because you're going to win no matter what. I'm just trying to help the people, Pinky. Just trying to, little tidbit, little cookie. The next matchup, I love Grand Canyon.
I think you
Grand
mean
Canyon.
MSU.
What?
MSU?
SU, Michigan State, Mississippi State, not SMU.
You said SMU. I was like, I don't get it.
No, I didn't. I
was-
said MS.
No, you
did
didn't. You
not.
said SMU.
You said it
No.
like 5 times.
No, you said it like 5 times. It's on the video. It's okay.
That's fine. I'm dyslexic. It doesn't matter. MSU, 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 MSU. That's what was said in my head, so that's all that matters, regardless of what's on video. The next matchup, Grand Canyon. I really like Grand Canyon. Crazy story. They started as like a community
Online
college.
university.
Yeah. And have grown into a legit university with athletics. And while St. Mary's won that Western Conference over Gonzaga's down this year. St. Mary's has had some nice teams in the past that can make a round or two run. But I truly believe Grand Canyon's got that overall more talented athleticism. And again, guard play. Do they have a guard that could make a run, that could go off, that could be a story? I think Grand Canyon has that more, so I'll go Grand Canyon. Bama's a good team. They just are. They could make a deep run. It wouldn't surprise me if they end up in the Final Four. They have that makeup. They've been inconsistent this year, similar to last year, like I was saying, and people were trying to pick them deep, and they ended up, flopping a little bit, falling on their faces. It's not much different this year. I'll pick Alabama in this matchup, but we'll see what happens after that. New Mexico State is a favorite sleeper here for a lot of people this year, and I actually like them a lot over Clemson. The ACC as a whole was down a little bit. New Mexico could make a little bit of a run. New Mexico's got names of NBA talents. A lot of famous fathers are going to be sitting sideline here for that New Mexico game. The biggest one being Mr. Eddie House. He seems to be the most vocal when it comes to sons and fathers. But New Mexico's got some talent, so I like New Mexico there for sure. Baylor, Colgate, Baylor. Move along, Colgate.
Baylor, yeah.
You're not going to be able to keep up with that Big 12 basketball there. I like the Dayton Flyers here. I don't have a particular reason, to be honest with you, other than they're the higher seed, and I like the Dayton Flyers. They always seem to play well in the tournament when they get there. The Nevada Wolfpack, nothing against you. You're not a bad team. I just, it's one of those where pick them. I'm going to go Dayton. Arizona and roll. This team is dangerous. Caleb Love can get hot. That is not the only name, but he did it for the Tar Heels a couple years back.
Yes,
I do believe he's going to do it for Arizona again this year, along with a couple other the dudes that they got that we'll be talking about as the tournament progresses. Arizona, let's go.
All right.
Now, that other side of the bracket, this last side, this little tidbit over here, this is where things can get a little interesting, okay? You guys scroll up there a little bit. Thank you, Purdue. I do believe they get out of the first round this year. Congratulations to you, Purdue. We'll see what happens after that. TCU, Utah, you guys coin flip it if you want to. I'm going to go Utah State. I don't know about you guys.
I don't have any reason to like TCU, so I'll go Utah.
All right. Gonzaga, McNeese. Give me McNeese. And give me McNeese to, again, guard play. They like to play
You and those
fast.
12s over 5s, man. Gonzaga's going to take that, but
I told you
okay.
I'm going all 12-5s this year. And I like McNeese State a lot. Gonzaga is way down this year. I want people to keep that in mind. This is not the Gonzaga you're used to hearing about and seeing over the last 5, 6, 7 years. Okay? They are down. Now, to me, that can be one of two things. they could finally make that Final Four run and do something crazy and win it all, or they're getting bounced out of the first round. They've been in the position of getting bounced more. They've been in the position of making those Final Four runs. Down year, Gonzaga. I think McNeese State is hungry. I think they are a crazy talented mid-major team. I like McNeese State in this upset.
All right. So then obviously we'll pick Kansas over Samford.
Nope. Samford wins this.
No?
The injuries are too much. Oh, Pinky? Really? My guy, cheers. I love the honesty. Dude, McCullough being out for the tournament now with the knee injury. Who knows what you're getting from Dickinson, right?
With the shoulder. And without Dickinson, too.
Without those two, and Samford is, from what I've heard in my little research and whatnot, and Pinky, maybe Sleeper will back this up. You'll have to tell me because I actually didn't look at this. I just straight picked Samford because of the injuries to Kansas.
No, they've
what
got
I've heard
Kansas,
about Samford.
They've got Kansas as the team to play.
Yeah, but what does it say about those stats? Because Samford, from what I've heard, is a scary offensive team. They will push the pace and force the issue.
Well, they will full court press you, and they play 12 dudes. They run guys that
they're just gonna wear Kansas down, and I actually
Kansas has no bench, no depth. Kansas is,
and every once and again we get these crazy 12-13, 11-15, 11-14, whatever matchups in the second round. I think that happens again this year right here. Yep. Pinky, cheers to you. Apologies to Kansas, my guy. Rough way to end the season because I actually like them to make a deep run until those injuries. McCullers was one of those dudes. What is McCullers your small forward? Is he your small forward or your shooting guard?
I mean, he shoots the most on the team, so I think he's the shooting guard. But
okay, he's one of those dudes who, even if he wasn't a guard, if he was a small forward, he's one of those dudes that I would have said could propel a team to a really deep run. And with him being out, and then Dickinson, who knows what you get. Kansas,
if they were both healthy with this side of the bracket and where we're at, I'd feel really good.
Yeah, I would have too.
I do feel like we could beat Tennessee, and I think we could beat Purdue.
You're missing a team there that we're about to talk about that I have coming out of this side of the bracket, actually. A lot of it has to do with what they learned last year, but we'll get there in just a second. I like Oregon over South Carolina.
That pulled out the win. Let's go.
I like the Ducks here. I think they push the pace a little bit and roll. Creighton, let's do this.
Which right now CSU has a 26-point lead over VA.
Yeah, they do. They're rolling right now. I got.
Still gonna pick Texas.
Texas, let's go. Not even a question. And Tennessee, scary good team here. We'll talk about that a little bit more as we move forward. Let's go back up to the top and get this round of 32 going. UConn. I liked FAU in the first round, but we're not even playing here. UConn moving forward. I told you, Auburn's a sneaky Final Four pick for a lot of people, I feel like. Auburn moving forward. Now, this, I told you. Shannon, smooth lefty, Illinois. Dude that makes a name for himself in the tournament. Illinois over BYU. Drake, Iowa State. Pinky even said this. Iowa State's a damn good team and could make some real noise in this tournament. I don't think this is a question. Drake, you had a nice story in the first round. A little upset there over Washington State. Ends in the round of 32. Iowa State moving forward. Over to the other side there. Guys, I have Nebraska winning this game. And this is not bias. This is based on what I saw from Houston in the Big 12 championship and the fact that they're dealing with injuries to some of their big dudes and rotational big-minute guys, just like Kansas is. Now, their biggest guy, Sheed, is going to play. Guard, great. He could still take over. They could smoke Nebraska, even without missing those guys. But I'm going to err on the side of what I saw in the Big 12 championship and the fact that I like Tominga and that guard play and the fact that Nebraska can shoot the ball. I like them to upset Houston here. You guys have to tell me what you think about that analysis, but that is actually where I'm leaning here.
Oh, okay, we went across the screen again. Okay, hold on.
So, Caleb, based off of what you're saying there, again, I didn't really get to watch too much. So, if there's a lot of injuries and things like that, being a big soccer guy, I kind of follow that very close to my heart. So I would then pick Nebraska over that just based off of that information.
All right. So regardless of what Pinky says, we are going to move in Nebraska forward. Pinky, you tell me what you think about that thought, because it really comes down to what I saw in the Big 12 championship from Houston against Iowa State, and the fact that they are dealing with major injuries to key rotational guys on their team. And the fact that Nebraska has been solid all year.
I guess that would depend on what
get hot with some of the other guys.
It just depends on what those injuries were. Are they just small little nagging things that now with the guys having a week off, are they?
And we don't quite know yet. It is a look. I told you before, if Houston's fully healthy, they're making a Final Four run, no doubt in my mind, no question in my mind. But because I have those questions, and because I know Nebraska could get hot, and they've got one of those guards that could do those things, I like the upset here. I just do. And I hate doing it because I feel like picking my Huskers automatically fails them. Like they're automatically doomed because of that.
I'm still going with Houston, but you're gonna put Nebraska on there.
All right. 2 out of 3. I like it. Next up, here's where it gets interesting. Do we like a James Madison upset here, Pinky? Over a Dookie? Do we like a James Madison upset over Dookie?
I don't.
I hate Duke, so I'm probably going to say yes, but that's probably because I hate them. And they're going to be scary good next year, so I got to get my hate in now.
They are going to be scary good next year. I'm going to say yes. We get a James Madison upset here. And part of the reason I say this is because they got some dudes returning from last year who were snubbed because of NCAA rules saying you have to sit a certain amount of time when you move up to Division I and you can't compete right away, which I think is stupid. I think they're ready to go. I think they make a run here.
All right. So then NC State.
You guys got to talk a little bit. I'll be right back.
I got Kentucky over NC State on this just because it's Kentucky. They're always a good team.
No.
They're always formidable. Caleb, you're not here. Pinky, input.
Okay. I mean, Kentucky's the better team. Kentucky's played some bad basketball with some really good basketball. So they're one of the teams that's like kind of tough to figure out. And they're really good on offense. I'm going Kentucky.
Oh, no. Dang it. NC State. I like them. I like them to make that run there. Kentucky's not as talented as they have been in the past. Not a lot of one-and-done talent that you're going to see go in the first round kind of thing like normal. Unfortunately, you guys win Kentucky, so we'll do that. But I really like that NC State team.
I mean, Kentucky's got two guys that are projected in the top 15 of the NBA draft this year. So, and
they do. They're just not your John Walls, your De'Aaron Foxes, your Karl Anthony Towns. They're not that level.
Jamal
of
Murray.
Yeah. They're just not that. They're good. Don't get me wrong. They're still good. They're just not that. So maybe this is the year Calipari finally gets a team to put it together. Not that he hasn't. He's won with Kentucky, but kind of fallen on their face more than they've gone deep. So maybe you guys are right. But I like the NC State team. Florida Marquette. Marquette rolls. I told you, these Big East teams are dangerous. I like Marquette a lot here.
Obviously.
Robert, I'm sorry, but this isn't even.
No, I would have. I'm not going to pick them. Are you kidding me?
Cool. North Carolina rolling. Grand Canyon, Alabama is interesting. I'm going to pick Alabama because I think they can be, like I said, potential of a Final Four team. I don't think they get there.
They do have the highest scoring offense in the nation.
I do like them in that matchup there. New Mexico, Baylor. Guys, if we want an upset here, I do like New Mexico. I think they could definitely, like I said, they got some names from NBA father lineage here. I like New Mexico to upset Baylor here.
Okay.
All right.
Arizona rolling. Move along. Purdue. I like Purdue to get past the round of 32. I like McNeese State over Stanford here, actually. I know I talked highly on Stanford's offensive potential and things, but I think McNeese has more of those guard potential players that can make a name for themselves and be that Cinderella story. So I'm going to go McNeese there. Oregon and Creighton. Guys, I know this is going to sound homer again to some of you that have listened to us before. Creighton is in Nebraska. That's my second favorite basketball team. North Carolina, Creighton, Nebraska. That's kind of the order. I'm not going to give the whole story now for why, but Creighton was a couple plays away from the Final Four last year. That game they had against San Diego State was a damn good game, a really good game for anybody that doesn't remember. They brought back a majority of their key pieces. They've got a guard that's scary good. They got a big dude in Kolkbrenner, I think is his name. I might not be saying that right, who was Big East Defensive Player of the Year, if I remember correctly. Creighton's making a deep run this year, and they have which is kind of rare in today's college game, but they have experience from the previous year making a deep run on this team to do it again, and the talent to repeat it. Creighton moves forward, in my opinion.
All right.
Tennessee is scary good. Keep an eye on Kinnick. I haven't mentioned him yet for that specific reason because I'm going to talk about it a little more. But the dude can shoot lights out and score. Tennessee overall is a good team. Barnes might finally have his Final Four and championship run team in this year's Tennessee team. Tennessee definitely gets to that Elite Eight. Sweet 16, sorry. So I like that. Let's roll back up to the top here, Robert. Good. How's everybody feeling so far? Are we feeling all right? We feeling good about these picks? Feeling strong?
These are pretty good. Got enough. I think we have enough upsets.
70%.
Binky,
75%.
I told you and Robert in the group chat here. Usually going into the tournament, I have to talk myself into some stuff, or I pick my team and I kind of have to talk myself into why my team should make a deep run, or I'm on the fence with some picks. I honestly, since I remember following the tournament and filling out brackets since I was like 6 years old, literally from my dad's office pools, I have never felt this good about picking a bracket. So I don't know if that's good or bad, guys. But
67-42 CSU.
Yeah, I love it. I think there's going to be chaos all over the place. I think this bracket reflects that, and I actually feel really good about picking that chaos. So
All right.
Who knows what happens, but just so you fellas feel a little better about the situation, I'm feeling real confident, real good.
I like it. All right, so that brings us to UConn Auburn.
A lot of people want to pick this Sweet 16 matchup maybe as the dark horse, like I keep talking about in Auburn. It is hard to repeat. UConn, I am sorry. It's not going to happen this year, but this isn't the place it's going to happen. UConn, let's roll.
All right. I got Illinois here.
Hell yeah. Shannon's still doing mad work.
I got Iowa State.
We're not there yet.
Yeah, we are.
Illinois is playing Iowa
Oh,
State.
my bad. Yeah, sorry. I like Illinois here. I know why you're picking Iowa State, Pinky, and I totally get it, but I know Robert's picking it because of Big 10 versus Pac-12. Big 12. He's going to go Big 10. I like it because of Shannon. I don't think Iowa State has a dude like Shannon. Shannon could go off for 40 in any given game, easy. I also am totally biased to smooth lefties, and he just so happens to be a smooth lefty. I like Illinois here a lot. But that's going to be a game to watch. If that matchup happens, oh boy, that's going to be a game to watch. I got Nebraska over James Madison. James Madison had a nice little run. Everything looked really good for him. I hate even thinking this, but I just have this weird feeling that Nebraska goes on this weird run where they stay hot. They have the guard play. They're a smaller, undersized team, which should create mismatches against them, but it just happens to allow them to go on a run. I think it'll end here after this next round, but I do think they managed to get to that Sweet 16.
So then that brings us to Kentucky and Marquette, which any damn taking Kentucky.
Marquette ruins Kentucky.
Yeah.
I told you, Big East team, scary good. Marquette, real good. Marquette.
All right. So then let's go down here to Alabama, North Carolina.
Tar Heels. I don't care what
All the
Alabama
way.
can do on offense.
Alabama.
What can North Carolina always do? Always score the ball.
Break a tib fib in the Final Four.
Oh man.
Yeah, that I remember that game like it's
you're always
yesterday.
gonna remember that one. That was brutal. That broke my heart.
Yeah, man.
But you got North Carolina too, Robert?
Yeah.
All right, Pinky. Sorry, buddy. Alabama's out.
All good, bro. It's all good.
Zona, and this isn't close. I think those names finally run out of gas, and they run up against a team who is legit. And I still think I'm gonna keep saying it. Caleb Love, I think, is gonna have a tournament. I truly believe that. And along with some of the other guys on that team, but Arizona rolls. This is where Purdue loses, in my opinion. And I think this is the Cinderella team that we're going to be talking about in McNeese State. I think this is the Cinderella story this year.
Disagree.
Yeah, I don't see that, man.
Purdue's terrible. They're actually not good. They're really not. They couldn't even get out of the Big Ten tournament, right? They didn't win it.
No, they lost to Wisconsin.
Yes, they did. Nebraska beat Purdue during the season as an undersized team with Giant Edie there. Purdue does not have great guard play. I told you that last year. I said that was going to be their crux, and they got smoked in the first round. It is still their issue. They're just a little bit more mature and have some really good matchups the first two rounds. I like McNeese State as the Cinderella. I'm outvoted. Purdue moves on. I got Creighton. And I'll be perfectly honest, I'm going with my heart over my head here. I think my head might say that Tennessee could win this game because they possibly are a little bit deeper overall than Creighton. But my heart says Creighton because, look, I'm biased. Nebraska. I get it. All that stuff. But
I'm going Tennessee.
The head of me says also that experience for Creighton is going to mean a lot. And they returned their top two players from last year's team that almost got to the Final Four. I do think that means something. Rick Barnes' teams have a tendency to flop on their face in the tournament for whatever reason, especially come the round of 16 area. I like Creighton to move on.
I think I'm with Pinky on this one. I picked Tennessee.
That's terrible. You're only doing that because of the higher seed. I hope you both have to eat crow for that.
I mean, they're 2-3. I mean, that's not like a big difference.
Yeah, right.
It's not.
It's on the podcast. So if we got to eat crow, it's there for us to do it.
I do like the Tennessee team a lot, actually. And had it not been Creighton, I think Creighton got a little bit underseeded because what did I tell you guys earlier? Creighton's season was the epitome of the college basketball season, the roller coaster, the up and down. Creighton beat UConn. If I remember correctly, at one point throughout the course of the year, Creighton beat the 1, 3, and 5 seeds overall ranked.
And then they lost to some really shitty teams too.
They also lost twice to 2 unranked teams. So it's a giant what if, and that was the whole season of college basketball. So I'm picking Creighton with my heart and head because they have the potential to go all the way. They beat UConn, who a lot of people are picking to win the entire thing. But they also have the potential to possibly lose in the first round, right? So it is pretty crazy. And I love this Tennessee team. They got some dudes on that team. I mentioned one guy earlier, and I'm drawing a blank on his name now, and I hate doing this. Knick, I think, who can shoot and score crazy. So I do not hate the Tennessee pick at all. I think they could easily make the Final Four. And in fact, with you guys picking them over Creighton, I will be having to move to the Final Four. So let's move on here because we're Elite 8 status now, baby. We're starting to get real interesting. I like UConn. They're just such a good overall team.
Illinois doesn't have it.
Shannon's run ends here, unfortunately, is a good story. He propelled Illinois farther than they should have, but UConn is so damn good. Marquette beats Nebraska. Nebraska's run ends here. Nice little story. I think Domingo gets a lot of household name now. Marquette's a damn good team, and they move on. This is the matchup.
You got to call them out because I've been putting in who I want to win. So just tell me who's the matchup.
Look, I think everybody wants to see this matchup. I think this would be one of the best games of the entire tournament if it happens in North Carolina and Arizona. I think I think truly North Carolina is a little bit deeper, but both teams are inconsistent, kind of on the whole. North Carolina, though, I'm leaning towards them because they have the experience from last year. So I'm going North Carolina over Arizona here.
Okay.
I think Tennessee smokes Purdue, and I don't even think it's close, to be honest with you.
Yep. So then that takes us to the Final Four, which I'd take North Carolina over UConn.
I'm actually doing that too. And again, I told you that's my team, but I actually like North Carolina because of what their potential can be. And just going with history and numbers, it is so damn hard to repeat. It is so hard to repeat. So I think if UConn beats North Carolina here and gets into the finals, I think they repeat. I think we see the first back-to-back for a very long time. But I like North Carolina here to do what a lot of people had them doing last year and the year before, and they just couldn't get it done. North Carolina gets into the finals. I had Creighton here winning and getting to the finals against North Carolina and redeeming last year's team, and them and Marquette played some insanely good games this year. Marquette had their number. And it's really hard. We all know it's hard to beat a team 3 times in a row, right, Pinky? In any sport, it's hard to have a team 3 times in a row. So because of all of those things, and because I had Creighton beating Tennessee, I had Creighton going to the final. So because of that, I told you I like Tennessee's potential and some of their scores. I'll go Tennessee over Marquette here, even though I love that Marquette squad.
Okay, so that leaves us with the champion.
Going North Carolina. I like roughly an 84-79, 82-75 type of game here. And I've got North Carolina winning.
Now that leaves us with points.
Pinky, I know it makes you a little sick, and I apologize, but would you have Tennessee over North Carolina?
I wouldn't have North Carolina in the finals, so.
Well, we're picking this matchup. We're not talking about whether you have them in the finals or not. We're way past that.
Well, they wouldn't even be there for me, so I'd pick Tennessee, yeah.
Oh, Robert, who are you picking?
Oh, I would go Tar Heels all day.
Okay, so we're picking Tar Heels. My total points is 163. I've been using that pretty steadily. That gives you that low 80 range, which has a tendency to be the college national championship scores.
I got 164.
Okay, Pinky, what do you got?
We'll go with 168.
So let's split it all of it and call it 165 for the pod.
Sounds good.
Sure.
Okay. All right, Pinky. Just out of curiosity, who do you have in the finals? Final 4.
UConn and Tennessee.
No. Final 4.
UConn, Arizona, Marquette.
Okay.
Tennessee.
Did you have UConn? Did you have Arizona UNC matchup?
No.
Oh, where do you have UNC losing?
Alabama.
Oh, okay. I don't hate that. Okay. Robert, what did you have for your – wait, Pinky, I'm sorry. You had UConn, Alabama in the Final Four?
UConn, Arizona.
Oh, I'm sorry. UConn, Arizona, Tennessee, and who?
Marquette.
That is your Final Four, legit?
That's what I have in my Final Four.
Okay. Robert, your Final Four?
I got my Final Four as North Carolina, but I actually had I think I want to say I picked Purdue overall. But after their performance in the Big Ten this last weekend, that really kind of put me in a halt before I actually did my bracket. So I'm really evaluating that situation.
Okay.
So the knowledge dispersed this evening is going to aid me in that. So I might really end up going with the Tar Heels Tennessee anyway. But I will submit that here in the next few days.
My Final Four, I've got UConn, Carolina, Marquette, Creighton. Is my Final Four. Now, obviously, as we start filling out more brackets, ESPN lets you do 1 million of them. You start kind of tweaking them here and there and seeing, try to give yourself the best chance. But on paper, those are our primary bracket. Or if we only had one bracket, those are our final fours. As a pod, here's our pod bracket. We'll see how this does. Robert will screenshot it for us. The bracket as a whole, we'll throw it up on the social.
Caleb,
media
I live
so
in the
everybody can
21st
see.
century. I saved it as a PDF, my boy.
I don't give a shit what you did, my guy. As long as we can post it for everybody to look at, that's really all this guy cares about. I'm going back to doorbell ringing and landlines, my guy.
Again, we have like 15 years on Robert. I have more than that on Robert. So, I mean,
yeah. So I'm not great with technology, right? I openly admit it. I'm not great with social media. I should be better. I should, but I'm not. I apologize. I'm trying. We'll throw this up. Everybody can see this. This is the.
And I'm submitting the bracket for an official run.
Do it. I love it. This is the official podcast majority rules bracket. And then obviously we all have our own individual tweaks here and there.
Get that to me, Robert, because I'm going to put $5 on that one. So
love it. Love it.
I just sent it into our email. This is my own account that I just use for my social stuff. So I'll get it to you tomorrow.
Pinky, should I use that as my second bracket in Jared's?
If that's what you want to do, man.
I might do that.
I don't hold you back. I just front you the buy-in, and I let you go to work.
Well, my official one I've already thrown in
away too, right?
My official one I've already thrown in there as my one, so I need to put my second one in there. Maybe I'll tweak our official podcast.
Make sure you make two, Robert.
Yep. I got it. I'll make it tomorrow.
See what happens.
I do have to state here for our submission who the favorite NCAA team is.
Okay.
Pinky would say Kansas. I would say UNC.
Whoa! Hold on. I know it's not Kansas.
But we gotta pick it. It's just a favorite for this year.
Oh! I thought it meant it was asking you our favorite.
It might ask overall. I'll adjust it later. I'm not worried about it.
Wait, is ESPN asking us or you asking?
It's asking me.
UConn. I mean, it's
UConn for sure.
I would like to say North Carolina, but it's UConn.
So yeah, we picked North Carolina to win, so we're good. So there we go. Everything has been created and submitted. The PDF has been sent over to us.
Good.
Pinky, we'll link up tomorrow for the bet, and we're good.
Ladies and gentlemen, on that note, if you want to discuss any of the things that were said, if you have an opinion, if you want us to give an opinion on a subject, let us know, man. Hit us up. Twitter, social medias of all kind, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. You can find us, Sports Nonsense and Whiskey. We will interact with you. I promise. It's something we enjoy. We want to build.
Check out the handle.
We want to build our brand. We want to get out there to the masses. We want to be able to interact with as many people as possible because we think this is something that everybody should be able to enjoy. We just want you to do it respectfully. Everybody's going to have a take. You're not going to agree with it. Disagree with it in such a way that is still kind and understanding. Unless you're Pinky and you tell me to F off on a continuous basis, then we're good.
But it's just
that's my guy, so it doesn't matter. That's right. And that's my guy, so it doesn't matter.
I saved those just for you, my friend.
Look, we're always going to say it. I don't care how cliche it is. We don't give a shit, right? We love doing this. And we love the fact that there are people out there who care enough, no matter what those numbers are, that take time out of their day to care what we have to say. It means the world to us. So thank you. Do not waste those moments with your inner circle, family, friends, loved ones, whoever you consider that to be. Cherish those moments. Amazing things are coming up on Thursday, baby. 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Let's go. Cheers to all of you.
Great day to work.
Have a wonderful evening. Good night. We're out.
Fast lane when I pass in the street, bag of money in the passenger seat. Simcoe's been asking for me on the road from the west to the east. Way up, I might never come down, cause the coast racking up the flight miles. So high, I might never come down, so what, this is my lifestyle. Wait a minute.